Hello Superset Maniacs and welcome back to my channel. Winter or no winter, guys. I mean, no disrespect to the other guys competing at the Olympia, I don't believe this is a two-man show between Ramy and Nick. However, Nick's indirect shots to Big Ramy indicate that he intends to go for the title, and no one can deny that he's capable of doing that anymore, after the showing he put out at the Arnold. We already had Ramy vs Nick on the channel, but what I wanna show you guys this time is a side-by-side video footage comparison. Photo comparisons are fun and usually we can observe the details better as photos are usually of better quality than the footage. However, the footage can show you details that are impossible to observe in a still photo. So let's have part 2 of Ramy 2020 Olympia vs Nick 2021 Arnold, but this time in a side-by-side video footage comparison. These video comparisons are much more difficult to edit, so if you appreciate the effort and wanna support the channel as well, all you have to do is hit that like button. Thank you guys, you are the best. In the front double biceps, we can observe how much drier and grainier Nick Walker really looks. I mean, yes, we have different lightings and different tannings for these shows, but regardless, he is definitely beating Big Ramy at this department, and this is the key to beat Big Ramy. You have to make him look soft, and Nick Walker has that capability. Big Ramy wasn't off at the 2020 Olympia by any means, but genetically, he doesn't present that hard dense muscle look that Dorian had, for example, and now Nick Walker brings it back. Big Ramy cannot be overpowered with mass, but he can be overpowered with dry conditioning, and if he doesn't come 100% at the Olympia, I believe a guy like Nick Walker can 100% capitalize on that. This front lat spread of Big Ramy cannot be challenged by Nick Walker in my opinion. Just look at that, guys. He also hits this variation crunching down his abs, which also looks good but not as good as the previous more conventional way. This is probably Nick's weakest pose. He doesn't have the structure nor the execution for now to make it look better. This pose goes to Big Ramy. While we're waiting for these guys to hit the side chest, observe how low Big Ramy leans down for this pose, but I think he does good, as those deep cuts in his side leg become even more obvious like that. Nick has an incredible lower body as well, but it's no denying that Big Ramy wins this department. Upper body, Nick seems to be more dominant through the arms and probably through the delts as well, but Ramy's big wide chest compensates for that. This is a very strong pose for Nick Walker, but Big Ramy looks better overall. This is probably the best side chest in the industry right now, so yes, Big Ramy takes another point. But we're turning around now for the back poses, and we all know that this is not Big Ramy's best pose, I mean the back double. He overpowers Nick with overall size, but size is not all. Just look at this, guys. It's clear as night and day. Nick Walker dominates Big Ramy in this pose. It's true that the Arnold lighting looks better than that of the Olympia last year, but Nick Walker is just more balanced overall. Big Ramy lacks muscle density in the lower region of his back, and his underdeveloped calves in relation to the rest of his body play a key role here as well. Nick has also the better biceps and forearms, not to mention his superior conditioning. This is a dominant point for Nick Walker in this comparison. While they prepare to hit the back lat spread, they transition through this so-called Christmas tree pose where, to be honest, Big Ramy doesn't look good at all. He really looks like he lacks the lower half of his back, but in the actual lat spread, he manages to look quite impressive. I believe Nick looks better in this comparison than in the photo comparison in this pose. You could really notice the details better. However, Big Ramy looks just too big in this pose to be beaten by Nick here in my opinion. Ramy does not have the best details indeed, But that back looks twice the size of Nick's, so it has to count for something, right? In my opinion, Nick loses the second back pose to Ramy. What do you guys think? As we're transitioning to the side triceps pose, we will observe again how low Big Ramy leans again for this other side pose. With his overall look, Big Ramy has the potential of having one of the best side triceps poses of all time, but his actual triceps really lets him down, I believe. I know a lot of people suggest that triceps shouldn't be the most important aspect in this pose, but why shouldn't it? Anyway, I don't want to get into that right now. The idea is that, in my opinion, a guy with a dominant tricep like Nick Walker should always have a clear advantage over a guy with a weaker one like Ramy in this pose, and since Nick looks on point overall, maybe not as good as Ramy, but quite impressive in his own way, I think it's safe to say that he's got the upper hand in this pose. I mean, this is how I see things at least. The abs and thighs is a strong pose for both of them. We have in front of ourselves two mass monsters that know how to keep their midsections in check, even though their structures might not be the most pleasing ones. Nick has the more defined abs, but Ramy's got the better taper and the more dominant thighs. For me, as long as Big Ramy is in shape and has his midsection in check, he's pretty unbeatable in this pose. In the most muscular pose, a bigger guy like Big Ramy will always have a slight advantage in my opinion, but Nick makes sure he compensates with crisp conditioning. This pose is tough to call, but once again, as long as Big Ramy is in shape with that frame and the amount of mass he packs on that frame, it's pretty impossible to overshadow him in this pose. However, when we look at the crab variation, I believe Ramy looks a bit soft in contrast with Nick Walker, who looks dry to the bone. So this is the card Nick Walker should be playing against Big Ramy, and he will be playing it, the conditioning. He's got the advantage of having that paper thin skin, and he's proved he's got the ability to come as dry as you can get, and also knowing Big Ramy's track record of coming off and get beaten by smaller guys really gives Nick a pretty strong case in defeating Big Ramy. However, at this point in Nick's career at least, if Big Ramy comes 100%, it's game over in my opinion. What do you guys think? Is this going to be our top 2 at the Olympia this year? Where do you think Nick is gonna place at the Olympia? Let me know down below in the comment section. Also like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, and as always, thank you guys and see you next time.